there's a difference between fault and responsibility, right? And a lot of things that happen to us or around us are not our fault, i.e., it was no one's fault it was a pandemic. There's no one's fault that, the politics or geopolitics or environmental stuff, all of this stuff is happening that it's not one person's fault. But it is absolutely our responsibility to navigate those things. And you will do so much better. You will overcome so many of the obstacles that you've got if you accept that fact of like, okay, I didn't cause this, but I'm also not going to be a victim to it. I'm going to take responsibility and think, well, okay, this is the scenario. We're in a global pandemic. How do I navigate this as best I can? Rather than just going, oh, hands up, roll over. Oh, well, this is happening to me. I can't do anything about it.
Hello and welcome back to the Face It podcast, run by Faces Consent, an app by practitioners for practitioners. I'm your host Jess, and today we have a different kind of guest actually on today's show, one I think you'll benefit from massively. But a bit about housekeeping, just up top before we get stuck in. We have recently rolled out Faces Verified, our brand new verification scheme on the app. So if you want clients to know you are insured, qualified and a trusted service provider, and grab yourself an extra £50 credit in the Faces shop wallet, well, you can now by submitting your documentation and getting yourself that verification badge. Don't forget also that you can rate, review and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. It helps us immensely. As you know, there's so much information, tips, industry advice available on this podcast now. Whilst we make it into our 100th episode, we're actually beyond 100 episodes at this point. So if you'd like the chance to come and chat to me about your experiences, share your stories and your expertise, then let me know. You can find us on Instagram at faceitpod or message me personally at Jess_Messenger. That's Messenger, MESSENGER. It is though now time to introduce our guest today. So I want to say a lovely, warm, massive welcome to Maddie Cook, aka Boss Your Salon. Welcome to the Face It podcast, Maddie.
Thank you very much, Jess. It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
No, it's a pleasure for us to have you. So Maddie Cook, the Boss Your Salon. Before we get into boss and we get into business, I just want you to kind of go over who was Maddie before all of this stuff that you do now. What was your background?
That's a great question. A very, very, very different person. So if you can't tell by the accent, Northeast, born and bred, very proudly working class. Left school at 16. My mum said, you need to go to college and learn something. Weirdly, I learned travel and tourism, which I thought I'd love. Hated it. Then I did what everyone else in the Northeast did, joined a call centre. That's what my family did, my parents did. And eventually got into hairdressing at 20. Had a business since then, so I went straight down to the self-employed route. And I was very in at the deep end. You really don't know what you don't know. And boy, did I not know a lot. Very naive, but very optimistic, which I still am now. Very, very different person, I think, from today. For example, I don't do hair anymore. I haven't been behind the chair for a few years now. I do coaching and consultancy full time. So it's like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, I know. I suppose we all cut our teeth somewhere, don't we? And obviously that's led you to your business and why you've got Boss Your Salon now, I suppose. But it's that those early days are always, especially at that age as well. 20 is still pretty young, isn't it? To feel like you know what you're doing. Did you have your own salon?
Yeah, so I've had a number of salons. So I started off mobile, and I remember the first I did hair extensions mainly, and I remember with my training I got a box, like a case, and it was like so not me. I mean, I'm covered in tattoos. I'm not like a girly girl really, but it was like silver. It had butterflies embossed on it, and oh my god, how proud I was of my little silver butterfly box. And I had a really absolutely knackered old car that had no aerial that pinged off in a car wash one day. My volume buttons didn't work, and I would drive it around the Northeast with my little box. And I was very, very proud to be a business owner, but also, like I say, very naive. But I did have own salons. Weird story, I was in a salon that collapsed when I was a chair renter. So after that I thought, I'm not going to go back there. I'm going to open my own salon. I've had a couple of different ones, both by myself and with a business partner. I've worked mobile, I've rented a chair. I've rented chairs, I've employed.
Mm.
I've got quite a good sort of 360 view of the industry, I think. I think that's what positions me quite well to like support people in the way that I do.
I totally agree. I'm going to come on to that in a bit actually, because I've got a bit of a question about your thoughts and feelings around the whole sort of online coaching space in general, because I certainly have my
Oh
own
yeah.
thoughts and opinions
Mm,
on that. So we'll come on to that.
yeah.
But just to kind of bring it, earmark that bit about your background. Do you think the naivety helped you in some ways of just
Oh
getting stuck in and
yeah.
getting stuff done? Because I think that there's a
Yeah.
need for that a little bit.
100%. Like, my dad, shout out to Big Roy, is very entrepreneurial. We call him Delroy because he's always like wheeler dealing. Has just had endless random businesses since, as long as I can remember. And I very much learned so much from him about like you just figure things out. Like either you
Mm,
figure them out or you find the person who can figure them out, but everything can be solved. And that, I think, for me is pivotal, and not being scared of the cringe, looking like a bit of an idiot, looking like you don't know what you're doing, being vulnerable, failure, like none of that bothers me. And I think
mm,
that is crucial. If you want to get anywhere, you have to just get over all of that stuff. Otherwise you just stay stuck, I think. But yeah,
yeah.
optimism is like my very core. Like I'll get there by hook or by crook. It might not be the way that I thought I was going to get there. In fact, definitely isn't. But yeah, there's always things can be solved and worked through for sure.
Yeah, I love that actually. I think that's so true. It's one of those, if you're determined enough, you will get there in the end. You don't necessarily know what
Yeah.
that path looks like, and it probably won't be
Oh
linear.
God, no. Yeah.
It probably will take a lot of detours along the way, but if you want it enough and it's you've got your eye on the prize, life just has a way of guiding you
Totally.
to it, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, okay, why did you create Boss Your Salon then? Like, at what point was there a light bulb moment? At what point did you think I'm kind of done with the running my salon part and actually providing a service, and I feel like this is the path that I'm supposed to go down now?
I wish it was as planned and as packaged as that. It was absolutely not. In very me style. It was just like, my light bulb moment was I got a leaflet through the door of my salon at the time, and I checked the post. Just happened to be me. I went downstairs, got the post, and it was back pre-Brexit days when the EU very kindly funded loads of business training, and it said free business training. I thought, oh, I'll have a freebie, so I'll sign myself up. And my eyes were well and truly opened to what I didn't know. And I just was hooked from day one. I just was obsessed. I have ADHD, so I definitely hyper focus. I have like
Mm,
interests, and this like peaked an enormous business interest. So I did all the podcasts and read all the books and went to as many of these things as I could. And what I what I also found that I loved was sharing that with people. So being like, oh my God, I've learned this. Or oh my God, I've read this in this book. And
mm,
what I found that I had was a really good knack for taking concepts that are like a bit boring, a bit, I don't know, stuffy, a bit old school, and kind of making them make sense for other people.
yeah,
So I'd,
simplified.
simplifying it, putting it into people, like I can speak people's languages, especially like other people in our industry. And basically just in Facebook groups, I've always been a big fan of being in Facebook groups. People started to say, Maddie will probably know this. And I got a bit of a reputation for like, Maddie might have the answers. And I
Mm,
found that everyone was asking me the same thing. So it was always about like, how do you charge for this? Or it was some issue around like policies or not feeling respected by clients. And, how do you get more clients? It was really similar questions. And out of pure, people think that ADHD people are lazy. I think we're incredibly efficient
oh
because we
yeah,
don't want to like I'm almost
completely
like a efficient
disagree.
person.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I'll just find the fastest way
yeah.
to get from A to B. I'll be like, okay, this is what I think I can do to solve this problem. So because I was getting my 10 DMs a day of the same thing, I was like, oh, I'll just start a Facebook group, because if I can answer you there, other people can see it, and therefore that leverages like my answer. And yeah, I did that in 2018, which was like technically when Boss Your Salon began. I had to come up with a name for my Facebook group because that's what it was at that point.
Mm,
And we now have 33,000 people in there. That still exists.
incredible.
It's wild. It's an exciting place. And yeah, I just kind of got good at listening to what people need, understood what that was and how I can help them. And that's what I've always done, is just like, how can I support people as best I can in an impactful way as I can. But it was never ever the intention. I
Mm,
didn't even think it was physically possible that this would be not only my full-time job, but now my husband works with me. So we
Yeah.
both run
Wow.
the business together. Yeah. And if you'd have told me that even in 2018, 2019, up to 2020, when it started to really grow, I'd have been like, no, I'll do hair forever.
Mm.
I'll drop down dead at 100 behind the chair. Um, I couldn't imagine a world that I didn't do hair. And yeah, so even where I am now, I'm like, where the hell is 5 years? I can't even like comprehend that now.
Just flies, doesn't it? But like you say, it's
Mm.
interesting you kind of said that you have this hyper focus that comes with ADHD. And I speak to a lot of business owners that have ADHD, and again they pick up on that, and in some ways it's a bit of a superpower because it does
Oh
mean you
yeah.
double down massively on an area of interest. You just put absolutely every egg
Oh,
in that
insane amounts.
basket.
Yeah.
And I think that helps when it comes to business. It really does, that you're able to
If
tunnel
you
vision.
can Yeah, if you can harness the good thing, don't get me wrong, I've
Mm.
hyper focused on absolutely
Oh
useless
yeah,
things
yeah.
that have maybe I'd be good in a pub quiz, but yeah, when it's a good one, I'm like, thank you, brain, for hooking into this like very helpful
Mm.
topic.
Yeah, I suppose it's learning how to manage your ADHD in a way that's useful to you,
Yeah,
isn't it? And not kind of going
that's
off
it.
piste. Yeah, I can imagine, to be fair.
Definitely. Yeah.
So who is Boss for then? Who do you actually help? Just so that our listeners
S-
know.
So it started with actually mainly hair extensionists. That was like my first little gang, my OGs, and shout out to those because there's been people right the way through. But honestly, like it's I realize it's such a generalized or universal problem that I started getting. So it started with extensionists, then it was hairdressers. Then I had a few kind of beauty therapists raise their hands.
Mm.
Then nail techs were like, is this for me? And I said, come on down. Then someone told a dog groomer, or a dog groomer found their way into one of my
Oh,
classes. Then I had like a boom of dog groomers because she'd shared it into a group.
wow.
I've had heaps of like aesthetic, semi-permanent makeup, um, like spa, Maddie spa stuff, cake decorators, personal trainers, car
It's
detailers,
because
like
the
absolutely
message
random.
overall really does just it really applies to every sort of small business owner that's really trying to get a
Yeah,
handle on their business. And this is why I
it's so
asked you to come
relatable.
on,
Yeah.
because I know how valuable the courses and, the mentor and all the other stuff that you offer is for our
Mhm,
community. Obviously, we're primarily aesthetics, probably about 70% of our audience. The rest of it then sits within the beauty and the hair space and the PMU space and
mhm.
all of that. So I know for a fact that, what Boss Your Salon does is massively for this particular audience.
Oh yeah,
And as I say, I've been following you for a long time now. You can tell you're passionate about your message. So what
yeah.
is your core message for beauty businesses, would you say?
Well, really, that anything's available to you. Like so much more is available to you than you think, and I'm a walking, talking testament of that. And with my background, like no business degree, no degree, full stop. Didn't even qualify college or anything like that. Um, but my main, if I could have one message for people, and it's a bit controversial. I.e.,
That's
whenever I
fine.
say it, people are like, "Oh, just because it mobilizes people in one way or
It
another."
triggers something.
Yeah, but I'm so careful with my words, and it is this. There's a difference between fault and responsibility, right? And a lot of things that happen to us or around us are not our fault, i.e., it was no one's fault it was a pandemic. There's no one's fault
Mm.
that, the politics or geopolitics or environmental stuff, all of this stuff is happening that it's not one person's fault. But it is absolutely our responsibility to navigate those things.
Yeah.
And you will do so much better. You will overcome so many of the obstacles that you've got if you accept that fact of like, okay, this is not, I didn't cause this,
Mm.
but I'm also not going to be a victim to it. I'm going to take responsibility and think, well, okay, this is the scenario. We're in a global pandemic. How do I navigate this as best I can? Rather than just going, oh, hands up, roll over. Oh, well, this is happening to me. I
Mm.
can't do anything about it.
The
So
victim
that's
mentality.
yeah, like my people are the people who like fair enough, wallow for like a week. I'll give you 7 full days to feel sorry for yourself. Day 8, you can come with me.
Yeah.
Take responsibility. And yeah, that's the people who do so well in courses, in any education that they're doing, with any sort of growth plan. If you're working with a mentor, consultant, anything where you want to grow and expand, the first thing you need to do is be like, okay, this is what I'm responsible for, and take that responsibility.
Absolutely, because I think that's such more of a power move to be in that position within your life.
Yeah,
Not even just about business. This is about where you
everything.
stand within your own life, isn't it?
Yeah.
And taking that, bull by the horns approach and thinking, well, life is going to keep throwing obstacles, and it is going to try and tell me that I'm not capable, that I can't do it,
Mm,
whether that, like you say, is the political landscape, whether it's, the financial background that you come from, whether it could be
mm,
race and everything else as well.
mhm,
It's about how do we take this badge stick and actually
mhm.
do something for myself out of this. And I
Yeah.
love that message, and I completely agree with you. And I think some people really, really struggle with that for sure.
Yeah, people take when I say that, they take something different from it, and that's why I'm very specific to say this is not your fault, and I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
blaming anyone in the same way I don't blame myself for things that are not my fault,
Mm,
but I do take responsibility, and I think it's really empowering. It feels great to take that power back and go, I'm not handing my power over to this external thing.
yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
gonna keep it for myself. You can't take that away from me. And I think that's amazing in every facet of your life.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, what a great core message to have, and like you say, it's not even really about business, it's just about taking
Yeah,
control of your life in
just a life
general.
message, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it.
absolutely.
Yeah,
So I've sat on one of your calls, as I've said, so and you are great to listen to. You're just a natural. Did the public
thank you.
speaking element of what you do come quite naturally, or is it something that you've had to work on over time?
Absolutely not, and I would actually class myself as, like, a very terrible public speaker in that standing on a stage like this, I love. I love, chatting with people one to one. I love, having if I bump into someone at an event and they tell me, they've been on a course or something, we can chat about it. Standing on front of a stage still gives me the absolute, like, heebie-jeebies. I speak too fast, I forget what my breath's doing, then I feel like I'm out of breath, like, I get too
Yeah.
excited. I'm not like I wouldn't say like a classic public speaker, but what resonates with people actually is the passion. Like, I can talk about pricing today, which is like one of my main topics really, the exact same way that I talked about it the first time I ever did a masterclass, which was the 23rd of May 2020.
Mm,
And quite often people ask me, like, how are you not so tired of saying the same things? Like, and especially when it's these really beginner sort of objections and fears, and like,
mm.
and I'm like, because for that person, this is the first time they've ever heard this. So I can't
And
be like,
the core
"Shut."
message still stands, doesn't it?
Yeah,
The core
100%.
message, you believe in the core message, so
Yeah,
therefore the core message never changes. So it's
yeah,
built on passion for getting that word out, which I think is why
yeah,
you're able to deliver it, the same. No matter how many times you've delivered that conversation about pricing,
yeah,
you're still gonna be, in fire with it from start to finish.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
amazing.
just it just means, like, so much to me, and to help other people to reach their potential
Mm,
is just an insane thing that I'm able to do. Like, I feel so incredibly fortunate to be in a position to help people do this, but I'm also, like, obsessive that everyone has this huge potential that a lot of them can't see, and I
mm,
love to have those conversations and, like, widen people's eyes or widen their perspective of, like, "Oh my god, I could do this." And I'm like, "Yeah, you could do this." Like, and then we get onto the steps and the how, but, for so many people, like, I or someone in my community might be the first person that's ever,
ever
like,
told
had
them that.
faith in this
Yeah.
person, yeah, because all
Mm,
their family's like, "Oh, you'll never make that much money," or, "Oh my god, I can't believe you're doing," for aesthetics, they might have come from, like, a medic background. This is what I see
mm,
in aesthetics where their parents were like, "Oh, you'll grow up and you're gonna be a doctor or a nurse or a dentist,"
yeah.
and then they're like, "Oh, you're doing lip filler," and there's, like, all of this, like, mad, generational stuff, mindset stuff, and of not being particularly supportive. And I think for women in particular, um, we are limited by a lot of people. So being able to, like, blow that open and help expand people is just like the greatest thing, like the most fun. And that's why I
I
get so
think
excited.
it's a huge amount of job satisfaction, isn't it? I think
Oh,
it's
yeah.
having that one moment where you can see it's when you get to see it in someone else's eyes that something has just
Yeah.
clicked.
Yeah, and
I don't think you can pay me enough money to see that. That it's a
it's
real special
amazing.
moment. It is.
And it's difficult, like, for me, when I started doing this work on a bigger scale, I was doing, like, masterclasses, so I can't see anyone, they can just see me. And
Right.
I always joke, people always say, "How can you talk to 500 people?" I'm like, "Well, I don't see 500 people, so it's fine. I'm just chatting in my office." And I always joke saying, "Well, I imagine that you're all just sat on the edge of your seat, hanging on to my every word, smiling." So I only see what they say in the chat, but, like, when I almost, like, dissociated from it because it felt too big and too
Mm,
weird to comprehend the impact that I was having. I just was like, "Oh, I'm just showing up and, saying my thing." But it wasn't really until stuff started reopening, like, kind of post-pandemic, like, events,
mm,
and people were like it was like the first time I got stopped. I was like,
mm.
"What?"
It's weird.
Um, so weird, more so weird when it's not in context of hair and beauty. So, like, I got stopped at Glastonbury, I got stopped at Cabaret, I got stopped, like, on a plane to Portugal, like, that's
Mm,
bizarre. But getting, like, messages I've had someone literally, like, sob in my arms at an event because she had to take on another job as, like, a Slimming World consultant to literally pay her bills and has now, like, tripled her income. People telling me that they're, like, picking their kids up from school or putting their kids to bed, that their mental health's better, that it's impacted because it does, it's a ripple effect, isn't it? Like, if you
absolutely.
feel better, especially financially and boundaries wise, and you
Mm,
can teach yourself that I am worth more and I can charge that and I can set boundaries. My God, does that ripple? People are, like, messaging me like, I finally set a boundary with my best friend. I've
yeah.
told my sister that I'm not giving discounts. I'm like, holy hell, this is a whole thing. So yeah, it's just that, yeah, job satisfaction. Like, I love doing hair and I love doing extensions because it's big transformative work, but this is, like, genuinely changes people's lives
It's
and their
life,
families'
yeah,
lives.
it's a life-changing difference, isn't it?
Yeah,
It really, really can be,
100%.
and I think, to have that impact on someone, where they go from never really having an individual that's given them that inner belief to then them
Yeah,
moving and having inner belief, like, that's a huge gift to give to
it's
someone.
insane. Yeah.
It really is. So I completely get where you're coming from. So we'll come into actually coaching and mentoring and that side of things a little
Mhm.
bit more. I'm interested to know what your thoughts are about this space in general. I'm a fellow mentor. I've been doing it for years now. So I know I have a few bugbears about the industry as a whole. So as
Yeah.
someone that's working in it, what do people look out for when they're choosing someone to trust with their money? Because this space
Mhm.
has exploded in the last 5, 6 years.
Yeah. And not all good. Some brilliant, but yeah,
Mm,
it's a bit of a minefield. For me,
mm,
I have these sort of protocols, right, that kind of help me stay on track. So if I'm hiring a mentor, and I also think coaches should have coaches, mentors should have mentors. It's why
mm,
therapists have therapists. So for me, when I'm hiring these people, and I've invested, like, tens of thousands in mentorship and coaching, it comes down to two things first and foremost. Have they got the results, either for themselves or for someone else? So I know people go, "Oh, I wouldn't hire a social media manager who didn't have loads of followers." I would if they had evidence that they'd helped a lot of people. I don't care about followers, but explode their business and make a
sure.
heap of profit. So that's fine for me. In the same way that I don't need a brain surgeon to have had to have brain surgery
Yeah.
themselves. Like, I trust that they can do it on other people. They didn't need to experience that themselves. And the second thing is I have to like them. Like, if you're going to be in that position where you are being vulnerable, um, you need to be open to being challenged by this person as well. That's an important part of, I think, coaching and mentorship.
Uh,
Being coachable as well. I think you have to feel really safe with that person and really trusting of that person. So that's what I would suggest if there's a person listening to this thinking, I want to explore mentorship, that's what I follow anyway. Those are my two kind of fundamentals.
mm,
Um, I think there's the thing that I don't like about the industry, in particular coaching and mentorship, is that there's been this boom, like,
mm,
oh my God, in the last couple of months of this
huge.
faceless,
Oh, yeah, I've seen it.
faceless content. Basically,
Mm,
people are exploiting a massive fear that people have around visibility, and they've said, okay, well, you don't need to be visible. MRR, master resale rights, I just think is the biggest
yeah,
load
yeah, scam ever.
scam. I'll not
Mm,
say anything rude. Scam,
yeah,
massive scam. I think that's actually done a lot to devalue.
Oh yeah,
genuine
for sure.
educators who have put their blood, sweat, and tears into content.
Mm.
And I'm seeing it's almost like it's normalized ripping people off, copying people's programs,
Yeah.
things like that. But I want to say the good side of it, yes, it is more competitive than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. But if you are super passionate about what you share with people, you are genuinely an innovator. So you come up with ideas which will pour out of you if you are that
If you're
person
in the
who,
right space, yeah, for sure.
yeah. If and if you're not, put yourself in that space, be around people who expand you. You yourself join groups and masterminds and communities. The stuff will pour out of you. Really, really care about the people that you work with and the results that you get. In fact, that is the most important thing, is the results. Everything else will be okay. You will do
Mhm.
okay financially, you will do okay social media wise, because the results will just ripple out. People will tell other people, those same people. I literally have
Mm.
people coming to me going, have you got anything else? Like, what else have you got? Because they're
Yeah.
just, because if you prove yourself and the results that you get, um, and I just try and like stay in my lane. I just think, yes, there can be people who, and there have been people who have word for word replicated my copy. I've had
Wow.
students
Wow.
teach my programs.
Wow.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
don't do that. We have a really, really good lawyer. Please don't do that. You don't want to meet her. We love her, but she's very scary. Um, yeah, like that does happen, and that's frustrating and somewhat challenging. But you just have to stay in your lane, like, and keep doing that, because all of these people who come out of the woodwork or pop up for what I would say reasons out of integrity, they just don't last, or they can
No,
only be as good as your last post or your last few ideas. And also, like, you just can't replicate you. And
passion.
that's
No.
why we have to be visible. Because if I wasn't visible, if you'd never met me, I would be
Oh,
so
it's
easy
so
to
easy to
copy.
rip off. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm.
But you can't sound like me or look like me or have the same mannerisms as me, like in the same way I couldn't be you. It would be really
Mm.
weird. So that's another important reason to be yourself. That will set you apart from all of the folks who are kind of hiding behind the faceless stuff. But yeah, there's some not so great stuff, but it is also good. And I do encourage people. I do encourage people to share their expertise, and I do want
Mm.
more people to come forward and be fellow educators and coaches and mentors, but for the right reasons, and doing it in the right kind of way. I'd love to know your thoughts. Can you tell me?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm in complete agreement with you on all the above, and I think as well, it's just made it very, very difficult for clients to be able to trust the industry. It
Yeah.
almost brings the trust in the industry at large down a peg. And this is what's happened with aesthetics. So stepping away
Mm,
from coaching, you've got a lot of people that haven't taken a lot of care, with learning their trade, and they're, using products that are not licensed, and then they're, not keeping on top of their insurance, or their, all these other things that then drag the whole industry down for
mhm,
clients in general. I feel like it's got a similar impact in terms of coaching, mentoring, and that sort of space as well. And it's
mm,
heartbreaking, someone that's genuinely passionate about it. And like you say, when you're not in the industry for financial gain, you're there because you genuinely believe in helping and changing people's lives. And you really feel like you have a message, or you have something to share that is of value. It's trying to just cut through a lot of that noise, I think, can be
mm.
quite tricky. So yeah, I think, for me, it's just been about trying to focus on what I do, how I do it, the way in which I do it. And like you say, results speak for themselves, don't they?
Yeah,
The results speak for
exactly.
themselves. And and it's difficult because I think a lot of these faceless accounts do get results at the moment. So this is what makes it quite muddy. They are getting results at the moment, and that's because it's hot stuff right now. But is that going to
Well,
give
they
you
say they're getting
longevity?
results.
Oh, yeah, some of them I think probably do.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but it's like any trend. Trends do
Mm.
come and go. You will
Just
get
go.
tons of results to start with, but it's like,
Yeah.
what's the longevity of those results? Can you build an
Mm,
entire business that's got, a sustainability to it, that's going to be sustainable for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years of your career?
mhm,
That's what we're here for. That's what you want out of your business. You don't want your business to be a flash in the pan for 12 months. And then,
mm.
everybody's over faceless accounts, and then suddenly they
Yeah.
don't perform. And then it's like, oh, now I don't actually know how to structure my own programs, or I don't actually know how to do this job. in
Yeah,
any other way.
exactly.
So yeah, I think it's just looking, the results are important, but look past some of those initial results and actually look at the longevity element of what they're showing you and teaching you, and how is this going to apply to your business in 5 years, 10 years? How can you take that knowledge forward and build on that
Mhm.
knowledge base for yourself, and make it applicable across platforms, across industries? You know, like you say, a lot of your knowledge that you're passing on is transferable. It's very
Oh,
transferable.
totally, yeah.
It's a lot
Mhm.
of value for money coming on one of your programs, because you might decide, I don't want to do hair anymore, but actually I want to start an automotive business. And
Yeah,
actually everything I learned
yeah,
from her kind of applies to that. So, you know,
yeah,
it's there's a lot of value in delivering content like that, that's evergreen in a way.
yeah. I've had people message me and say that they were watching my masterclass and their partner, who's a mechanic, happened to be listening and is now like, does Maddie work with mechanics or like
Yeah,
plumbers? And yeah, because it doesn't make sense for people. But that's
yeah.
it. And I think like transparency, integrity, like
Oh
if
yeah.
people are sharing, I think it's actually quite easy to do like a 10 grand month or even like a one off like 15, 20K month. But if you want to do that consistently, like that is a whole other ball game. And I think
Yes.
seeing the people who've been around for a long time, but being transparent, like I share when I talk about more the coach and mentorship side, I shared a graph. Someone asked me if I would be willing to share it of like the income that I made year on year. And it was like minus 300. And
Yeah.
like year one, two, three were like non-existent. And then 2020, it blows up. But then we have this like consistency that you can see, because I wanted to show like I would have sacked this off
Yeah.
at this point because I would have been like, this isn't working, to show them one that there's a lot of work that gets done before you hit that tipping point, and then it feels like overnight success when it's absolutely not that. But
Mm,
also you have to always look forward. We have to look at what our quieter months are and think, do we do something earlier next year to fill that time, or do we just
sure.
accept that's a quiet time? Is that when we go on holiday? Like all of this stuff, we look at the data and whatever. um because I want to be doing this for as long as I possibly can. Like, but it obviously requires lots of work and lots of strategy to be able to do that. I think as well, like ask to speak to other people's clients. Like,
Mm,
yes, not on like a £10 course or whatever. Like that's a big ask, I think, of a coach or leader. But I have like group mentorship, which is like 3-4 thousand. I will literally say, would you like me to put you in touch with someone? And especially if it's like aesthetics person to aesthetics person, or if
mm,
there's someone that I think they were in a very similar position to you, I'll just reach out to them and say, would you mind having a chat with this person?
mm.
Because who better to talk about it than an actual
You
delegate
can't
or
get any
actual
better.
student?
You can't get any better
Yeah,
than your own clients being willing to share their experiences of it. And I
yeah,
think, that's another thing as well. It's this, you know, they've got to be willing to share all of the bits, the ups
yeah.
and downs, the challenges,
It's
because
all
it isn't
important.
it isn't all 10 grand months and, making your first million in the first 12
Yeah.
months or whatever else, all these big, big promises. And yes,
Usually, if it
while
is, they don't
yeah.
last.
Yeah, this is it. This is
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
It's not that it doesn't happen. They're unicorns, though. We're not saying
yeah,
these things don't happen. They do, but they are the exception to the rule. So it's much better to listen to, what the rule generally is and what the
yeah,
realistic goals are and what the path looks like to get there. And I think that's what
yeah,
real, genuine mentoring and coaching is.
yeah,
And trying to strive for long term results and get them where they want to be for
yeah.
the foreseeable, really.
Definitely.
But yeah, I love hearing your feedback on that, because I think it's changed the landscape in the last 5 years, hasn't
It's a
it? And I
lot.
think
Yeah. Oh God.
it's
Definitely.
tough for people to know who to part, how to part with their money and where they should put their trust. And I know people that have been stung many a time. So
I think
hopefully
that's
that
the
helps
worst
any of
place.
you
Yeah.
listening. Mm,
Yeah, that's it. A bit of due diligence. Ask
mm.
questions. If people get cagey, there might be a reason why they're being cagey.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Neither one of us will be bothered about sending you to someone that we've worked
Yeah,
with, or
be
have a
fun.
have a fish through all
Yeah,
of our stuff. It's fine.
yeah,
Um, so, oh, hold on, lost my place. See, this is why we have editors. It's for
yeah.
my
That's a good show. I'll have a quick
oh
drink
yes,
while you think.
pricing calculator. That's what I want to discuss.
Yeah.
Good old pricing calculator. So, I had one of your customers or clients on actually last week, and she happened to bring up
Oh,
purchasing your pricing calculator.
yeah.
So we've stuck that in the show notes, and I said, "Oh, that's really
Oh,
funny.
thank
We're
you.
having Maddie on next week." I said, "So it's funny
The
that you've mentioned it."
universe.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Love it.
tell our listeners then, what is the pricing calculator product? How does it help? Why do they need it? What is it?
Yeah, so you might need it if you are working very, very hard and the maths isn't mathing. So if you look at your bank statement at the end of the month and you go, has someone cloned my card? This doesn't add up. I'm having to move money in and out of savings. I'm in the overdraft, that kind of thing. That's a
Mm.
surefire way that your prices maybe need to be looked at. If you also did what 80% of the industry did, and I know this because I surveyed 20,000 of yous, and copied or guessed your prices, then you might just need a pricing calculator. Everyone, when I say that, they're like, oh, because I did literally the same thing. When you first start
Mm.
out, I would send like my family members incognito. I was like, go and walk in these salons because it was the days of like leaflets. I'd
Yeah.
do a Google research. I felt at the time, I thought I was dead professional because I had a
Yeah.
spreadsheet and I was like,
You had your
this
little detective
person,
cloak on and your little
my
magnifying
little
glass.
fine glass. And then I came up with this list of my quote unquote competitors. And then I always call it like the bottle of wine. Like you don't want to be the cheapest bottle of wine,
Mhm.
but you're definitely not buying the most expensive. So I was like, I'll be the second or third cheapest because I'm starting out. That's how you get clients. And anyway, long story short, that did not work very well until I actually got to grips with my numbers. So if you copied, if you guessed, if you haven't done an increase full stop in actually at the minute about 6 months because things are moving so quickly,
Mm.
all of those are signs that you may just want to take a little look at your prices. And everyone thinks it's going to be horrible. You think that the number it's going to tell you at the end, because it literally tells you for every single service you do, this is the exact
Mhm.
price you need to charge based on your goals, the speed at which you work, the products that you use, like your capacity, like super, super specific to you. So me and you could do the same one and come up with different
Totally
numbers.
different results.
In fact, we should, yeah, totally different
Mm.
results. Um, so don't go into it thinking, oh my God, it's going to give me this horrendous number. Actually, a lot of the time, people are pleasantly surprised. And sometimes it's just one or two services that are quite far out. The others are kind of spot on. So it's just more bringing them in line. I would say just go into it almost detached from an outcome. Like, I'm not even
Mm.
thinking about the increase or telling people or making any sort of announcement. I am just going into this with curiosity about how far off was I.
Mm.
And then what will tend to happen is when you see the number, let's say you're charging £10 under than what you should. Every client that you then see, Jess, when you take a bill, your brain will go, you've just lost a tenner. You've just lost a
Yeah.
tenner. You've just lost a tenner. And even that enough is sometimes like just the knowledge of that is
Mm.
enough to kick you up the bum to go, actually, I don't really feel like I enjoy losing this money. And also I invite people to like have fun with it. So do it as normal, and then just go back to your income, put another couple of
Have a little
thousand
play around.
on,
Yeah.
knock a few Saturdays off, give yourself a couple of holidays, put a few quid in your budget for, training if you want to
Mm.
work with, one mentor coach, and actually see how quite tiny incremental increases at the front end have huge impacts at what you're left over with and the lifestyle that gives you, because that again is helpful, especially if you're doing these little emotional discounts, or when you
Mm.
keep people on old prices because you're like, I quite like them, or they're quite nice, or I've got this
Mm.
particular relationship with this person. So that's it. They're just numbers, they can't hurt. And then see how you feel afterwards. But yeah, cool. It's not just a calculator. It comes with like course modules and literally give you like word for word scripts on how to stop giving discounts to your friends. There's a whole online support community with like thousands of users in there. Everything that you could possibly think has probably already been said and asked, but by all means, come and ask it again. And the people who've done it before you'll come and support you. Um, but yeah, when I first made it, I made the calculator because I thought, oh, it's a numbers thing. And within about 2 days, I was like, okay, this is more than the numbers. This is like
Way more than the
very much a
numbers.
mindset thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Absolutely.
yeah.
But it's such a fantastic product, and it's,
Thank you.
probably one of your hero products that gets spoken about quite a lot. And would you
Yeah.
say it's probably what made your name to start with Boss Your
Oh,
Salon, as you were
totally.
kind of going into that space?
Well, yeah, that was
Um,
2020. So like before that,
mm,
because I felt like I knew a wider range of business stuff, I was like, well, I can teach you sales and marketing and forecasting and numbers and copy and da, da, da.
mm,
And I tried to be all things to all people, and it actually wasn't for me until I asked a question in my group, which was, "Would you like some help with pricing?" And I got like
mm,
100 yeses. I thought, okay, I'll make a calculator. At first, it was a spreadsheet that I'd made
mm,
and sold for 29 quid. And then it just absolutely exploded. So I niched down immensely to be the pricing person, which I still am today. Like every
brilliant.
day, I get a tag in a Facebook group
Mm,
saying pricing, Maddie's your person. And just for anyone who is this, and this applies to both aesthetics and other service providers, and if you are in education, it is okay and quite helpful to niche down, and
mm,
then afterwards you can widen once you've built that trust in those relationships, because naturally people will be like, you got me great results here, can you
mm.
get me great
I
results
trust
in
you now
something
to try
else?
and yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Whereas
That's
before
really,
I
really
was
good
like not
advice.
known for anything. Yeah.
Yeah, really, really good advice. And clearly it's worked. So yeah, we will definitely pop some links in the show notes for the
Thank
pricing
you.
calculator. I can imagine that a lot of you are going to be tapping on that right now and just heading over there and getting hold of it. I know it's something that comes up time and again in the groups that we're in. So I'd be interested to hear people's feedback on that. So please leave some
Yeah, I'd
comments
love
if you
to.
do go and purchase it. You've got your own podcast as well. Coffee Isn't Lunch. Love the name.
Yeah, thanks.
Absolutely
That was
brilliant.
Haley's. So good.
What was the inspiration behind the pod, and why should people listen?
So I do the podcast with a very, very good friend and colleague and collaborator, Haley Jepson, who is known as the Resilient Hairdresser on Instagram. And Haley was a hairdresser, then trained to become a therapist, did that for a bit, and then came back to hairdressing. And kind of similar to me, was like, oh, this is a bit of a problem here. So she really specializes in helping people to avoid burnout, overwhelm. Um, that's her sort of jam. And I think we bonded over having bad backs and having to not do hair anymore. That was our first sort of DMs, and we just became very good friends. And yeah, we work really well because her background is like this sort of therapeutic, um, I guess academic, but not in that sort of sense, but super, super knowledgeable. And
Mm.
mine's more like the practical in the moment. Okay, what can we do about this? Hers is a bit like, why are we doing this? And I'm like, okay, what next?
You're like crisis
Um,
management,
yeah, and
putting out
and
the
we chat.
fires.
That's it. Yeah, we chat a lot. We both have ADHD. We end every podcast episode with our current hyper focus, so you can hear,
I love that.
I think, 40 or 50 of them now that we've gone through. They're all absolutely ridiculous and pointless. So you can, back to my point before of sometimes you can't harness that and it's just madness. Um, but yeah, they're all like actionable. People listen in their car or on the treadmill or on the school run. So we try and make it, people say it's like listening to their mates, and that's
Mm.
that's what we want it to be like. So yeah, I love it. It's podcasts. They're hard work, let me tell you. You know
Oh yeah.
this, but they are
Mm.
so worthwhile. And I love nothing more than people saying, I love this episode, or I love this topic that you're talking about, or that really changed my perspective. So yeah, it's a great format. We're
It
talkers,
is.
so this works very well for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love podcasts. I listen to loads of them, too many of them. I spend a lot of my time listening to
Same,
podcasts, and I
yeah.
just think it's such a really, really good medium. It's where I learned a lot of my business acumen,
Yeah,
over
so
the
much
past 5 or 6
value.
years. So much value, so much
Mm.
value. So yeah, again, we'll link Coffee Isn't Lunch
Oh,
in
thank
the
you.
show notes, guys. So probably another really good one to add to your listen list. What's Breakthrough, and how can it help our listeners?
Breakthrough is my program for people who are fully booked who want to drop at least a day of client facing work without sacrificing any profit. Um, so what I see is that publicly, loads of people are asking each other if they're quiet, is everyone else struggling to get clients?
Mm,
But privately, there's a small group of people who are absolutely freaking stacked, but they don't share it online because they don't want to look like that guy who's like, oh
yeah.
no, I'm too busy.
Oh, poor
So they're
me. I've
like,
got too many
well,
clients.
yeah, because everyone would be like, oh my God, first world
Hand
problems.
them
Like,
over,
I wait,
hand them over here.
give them to me, all this stuff. And it
Yeah.
feels awful for them because, and I've been there, like, I've been too booked out, and it feels like it's an invalidated problem. You're not allowed to have this problem. It's, you should be grateful. You should be
Yeah,
grateful. Everyone else
sure.
would, give anything. But it is a genuinely huge problem in their day to day. Like, they are so burnt out, overwhelmed. Um, Usually massive people pleasers, as are a lot of the
Mm.
industry, terrible boundaries, and they're missing out on life, and they've built this thing that feels more like a prison than a vehicle for freedom, and they don't know where to go with it. A lot of
Mm.
them do want to go on to do like education, mentorship, or just something that they know they need to have a little bit of time to work on, but it's like, where on earth am I going to get this time? And you don't just want to, it's too stressful to just drop a day randomly, because you will then just drop a fifth of your income. So I don't recommend doing that. But yeah, we work, it's a 6 month program. That's where Haley comes in. So she's a program coach in there. So I work for the first 6 weeks doing all of the things required, like the steps to get you in that financial position. So we build up the profits, we minimize the losses, and then we go,
Mm.
okay, you're ready to drop a day. And then when they all have an absolute wobbler, Haley comes in and soothes them and helps them work through that, because
Yeah.
it turns out a lot of stuff comes up, a lot of deep uh, introspective identity crisis.
Mm.
What will people think if I stop working on a Wednesday? Like, the whole shebang. So yeah, it's amazing. It's a very small group. I was running it twice a year, but I'm actually only doing it once this year. So sadly, you have to wait, or just send me a DM and I'm
Pop you on the
working on
waiting list.
something, because quite a lot of people want to join. So I'm a bit like, okay, maybe we
Mm.
can do something to let folks in. Um, but yeah, it was a bit, as soon as I started talking about it, because I thought, is there enough people who want to do this? And as soon as I
Sure.
mentioned it, the first round, we had like over 150 applications
Wow.
within
Wow.
like a few
And
days.
that's
Yeah.
worth mentioning, isn't it, Maddie? It's an application process for breakthrough so that you can
Yeah.
assess the suitability criteria. Because again, it goes back to that integrity in your work. You
Oh
don't
yeah.
just take anybody onto the program. You
No.
could quite happily and just take their
Yeah.
money. But at the end of the day, if they're not the right candidate, they're not going to get the right results. So it is an
Yeah.
application process for breakthrough.
Yeah. For this type of program, I'm sure it's the same for you, Jess. Like, we have to like curate not just the
Mm.
curriculum and the coaching, but the community. So we have to be like, we'll just get on with this person, and we'll, is everyone coachable? And we have like a full, I don't do like, personally, I don't do like quote unquote sales calls. Like, I will just chat with people in
Mm.
DMs. If you want to ring me, that's fine. But most of the time we can just chat or voice note. But there is an application process. Then we have a bit of a chat to sort of work out and also if they have a good feel for me as well, because they have to spend
Yeah.
6 months with me.
Yeah. Mhm.
So yeah, and it's like we try and be like low pressure. It's not like a big salesy thing. I kind of just go against all of the advice that other coaches give, which is like, get everyone on a sales call, like close
Yeah,
everyone.
I hate that. I'm
That's
so
not my
glad you've
style.
mentioned sales calls. I'm sorry to digress. They're
No, go
they're
for
one
it.
of the worst things. I hated doing them. I went through this whole
Yeah,
coaching program myself where I was coached to coach essentially,
yeah,
because I wanted to make sure that I was structuring my courses and stuff well and all of that. And that was one of the things that I really, really disliked doing. And I thought,
yeah.
why am I doing this just because someone else has told me it works for them? I've got to now put
Exactly.
me in
Question
my
all of
own
this.
coaching seat
Yeah.
and coach myself to say, if
Yeah.
that doesn't work for me in the way I like to structure, get rid of it. Just chat
People
to
will,
people normally, you
yeah.
know. So you
People,
have to
I've had
coach
people just
yourself.
say, like, don't ask me anything. They're just like, if
Yeah,
you'll me, send me the link. Sometimes it's
yeah,
as straightforward as that. Sometimes, a lot of the time
yeah,
people just want to like have some reassurances around certain
yeah,
things. Like, sometimes it's a logistical question, like how many will be in the group, when do we start,
yeah.
what happens if I miss a class, whatever. But oh no, and I think as well from a
Sometimes they don't
strategic.
want an hour to be sold to. They don't want to
No, and
sit for an
I
hour.
wouldn't get on a sales call, mainly
No.
because I'm terrible with buying stuff, and I would just buy
Yeah.
anything. So I just to restrain myself, I would not. But also just from a strategic perspective, like, I am enrolling people who are so busy.
Yeah.
Why would I then say, can I please book an hour that both me and you are free to discuss this? Like, we need
Yeah.
to just do this via like sporadic voice notes over the period of a week, because you are that busy, and I need to appreciate that, because that's literally the person who I've built this for.
Yeah.
So
That is literally your
some
client.
yeah, you've just got to think about, does actually this way of launching or selling or enrolling or onboarding fit actually the person and the program itself? And for you, like, I think we have to build businesses that,
Yeah.
and this goes again for everyone, that fit in. Like, I've like retired programs and memberships because I was like, again, I love them and they did well, like objectively well, like financially well. But I was like, I just don't want to have this
But you don't
type,
want to
this,
do it anymore.
yeah, like I realized I'm a massive commitment phobe and I love working with people for 6 months. And actually, most people I've gone on to work with again and again. But for me, having a membership, I was like, it never ends. I'll always have
Yeah.
to find a guest and I'll
Yeah.
always have to find content,
Yeah.
even though it was like, it was fine. But I learned that about me. And again, I was coached to open a membership because it was like monthly
Yeah.
recurring revenue.
Yeah.
And
And I
now
get
I'm
it,
like, you
from a business
can, but
point
not
of
for
view,
me.
it makes complete sense. So
Yeah.
I get it. But
Yeah.
I ran a product business, so we had a subscription model in that business. And again, it was that never, and it is good. It's a predictable source of income. There's all the right boxes it ticks, but also there
Yeah.
is that element of, does this actually work for you as a
Yeah.
strategy? Because it is never ending. You've got to keep those ideas fresh. You've got to come up with new
Yeah.
products or new ideas, or new content if it's coaching or mentoring every single month in, month out. Is that
Mhm.
something you can keep on that treadmill with? Because if
It's like
not, maybe
energetically, yeah.
it's not the right
Yeah.
system for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. It's some people, it's like some people love high ticket, some people love low, some people love high volume, some people love smaller intimate groups. I kind of like to have a mix.
Mm,
Um like I didn't do one-to-one until this year and I started doing one-to-one coaching for course creators, so nothing to do with, they all came through
mm.
the industry, but they wanted my help with like doing
Building
what
their
I do
own.
now. Yeah. So I did like in-person like VIP strategy days. And I
Mm,
absolutely love that, but also that requires a very different type of energy. And
mm,
you really like, we, WhatsApp through the launch, like super, there to support them. Um, but also, that's priced appropriately. So there's all of these things that you've got to consider. And also,
mm.
like, you can change your mind. Like, you might start in one particular way. Same for any business. Please don't wed yourself that the first thing that you do on day one has to be the thing that you do forever, because
Mm,
it's not going to work that way. Just be flexible and just keep checking in with yourself, like, and what's really important to you. Like, one of my massive values in my business and life is freedom, helping other
mm.
people get freedom, but also for me, and I travel a lot, so time zones and stuff like that. So the membership just didn't work for me because I was literally going like, oh, I couldn't fly on this day because
Yeah,
couldn't even be
sure.
away for a long time, because if I did a live at 10 a.m., that's like
Mm,
3 in the morning or something in the US. So
mm.
all of these things to take into account.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So what's next for you then, Maddie? You're clearly a woman on a mission. What's next?
I know I always say like a rest, but I'd hate that. I'd hate to just stop.
You'd like it for a
So
day.
I know, and then I'd be so bored. I'd be like, I've got 15 business ideas from the Sun Lounger. What is next? So we will have Breakthrough coming back next year, if not maybe sooner, depending on who wants to join that. I am launching something completely new in September called Course Creator Club, and it's for people who want to. I think everyone has some sort of expertise in them, especially service providers,
Mm,
that people will pay them for. So
yeah.
some sort of like IP or way of doing things, or framework. Um, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to help people to come up with, because a lot of the time they have no idea what the idea is. Or sometimes they have an idea and then it's a different one. So come up with a course, the curriculum, the launch, which, as you know, you can have the greatest course on earth, but if you do
It's
not
true.
know how to launch it,
Oh, it's
you're,
true.
you're making nothing. So how to launch it, debrief your launch, and then plans to scale it up. So I feel like I just get all of my ducks in a row, make my life really easy, and then I go, there's space. What can I fill the space with? So this is the
Yeah.
latest thing. Um, because of doing this one-on-one work, I just thought it's not affordable, for a lot of people to pay someone to do like VIP in-person stuff.
Mm,
I thought, how can I take that framework and make it a bit more scalable, for like accessible to more people? So
mm.
yeah, that's the next thing. That'll be September. And then don't even ask me after
Exciting.
that, because we'll just see. See what happens.
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah, that's a problem for Maddie of October.
No, it sounds exciting, Maddie. We
Thank
have
you.
come to the end of our podcast episode today. So if you could just let the listeners know where can they find you online, and any other links that you want people to go to.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I am Boss Your Salon on pretty much everything. So Facebook. I try and avoid TikTok at all costs. I do exist there, but it's a massive time suck for me. So
Oh, same,
I
same.
have the app, but I try and avoid it if I don't
Mm,
want to lose like 50 hours of my life. I'm
mm.
mainly on Instagram, and I've got my Facebook, which is Boss Your Salon with Maddie Cook. And the first place I'd always start before even getting the calculator, like if you're ready, then dive in. But beforehand, this sounds a bit counterintuitive because I'm kind of telling you not to give me money, but do my pricing masterclass first because it will unlock what you need to unlock in your mind in order to go through the calculator in a way that's much, much easier, less friction. And it's very, again, like me, very confronting, but it'll help you with money mindset stuff. So that is bossyoursalon.com/masterclass. But like everything's in my bio and on my website and stuff like that. But feel free, DM me if you're stuck. I can point you in the direction of where you need to go. I've got heaps of content, obviously, podcasts, blogs, fill your boots, take what you want.
Everything, everything.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, Maddie. You've been absolutely
thank you.
amazing. It's been a pleasure speaking to you and getting your insights. You know, you've done an amazing job with Boss Your Salon. You should be super proud of the community that you've
Oh,
built.
thank you.
You really have built a solid community there. So for the listeners, go find Boss Your Salon. Join in, even just from a community perspective for now, if you're not quite ready to part with your money. And I'm sure after a few weeks of being in there, you'll realise the value that's to be had on some of the programs or in the pricing calculator. So thank you so much, Maddie. You've been
Amazing.
brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. See you soon.